Bill does, and I do not have a copy of it in front of me, is it makes some changes to the commercial property surcharge, otherwise known as the commercial property surtax in Missouri. It's one of our least known taxes. There's many public officials, even at the county level, who barely even know it exists. It is the extra tax that is levied on commercial property only that was instituted back in 1985 as part of the general reassessment changes when they phased out the merchants and manufacturers tax and imposed this commercial surcharge at a revenue neutral level at that time. Each county back in 1985 imposed a separate tax rate based on what it was collecting in that county for the merchants and manufacturers tax, again to make it revenue neutral. And because this was part of the general reassessment, these taxes are all in the state constitution and not done by statute, which may be one of the reasons it's so little known, because it's a property tax. It's all guidelines are in the Constitution. This joint resolution is putting before the voters a few changes to the surcharge. One is to require that the commercial surtax roll back every 2 years like every other property tax in the state of Missouri. Right now, if a commercial property assessment increases in a reassessment year, all its other tax rates might roll back to adjust for that average increase in that community, but the surcharge stays flat no matter what happens to the average commercial rate there. So businesses that see assessment increases when their surcharge does not roll back can see substantial tax increases. So that's one of the major changes. Another major change in the bill is allowing legislative bodies to reduce the rate. Right now in the Constitution, it strictly sets these rates, which were again set in 1985, they cannot be raised ever. And the only way they can be lowered is if there's put before a vote of the people. And this bill proposes that a county council, and these are county taxes, so it would always be a county council or county commission, that they have the authority to lower the rate should they so desire. That certainly doesn't require them to do it. It just says you can either put it to a vote of the people or lower it at the county commission or county council level. The third, and that obviously depends if it's a charter county or not. The third change, and perhaps in some ways the most significant, is it rolls the tax, it phases the tax out as of 2019, which is certainly the most dramatic change. In a lot of counties, the amount collected by this tax is comparatively small. You'll probably hear testimony later about how in some of the larger counties it collects a very large amount of money. But I do think that if these counties have knowledge that in the next 5 years the tax is going to be phased out, I think that they will have time to take the steps, including perhaps raising their baseline rates to make up for a portion of that difference. They'd have every right to do that. I think phasing it out in 2019 is also a legitimate part of the bill. But there are three different parts. I'd be happy to take those three parts in the whole or separately. I think it's a very good bill. I think the people in Missouri should have the chance to vote on this. I do think it's imperative that commercial property, that the commercial surcharge roll back, like again, every other property tax in the state, to prevent really high tax increases on commercial property. And I think that county commissions and county councils or county executives should have the authority to roll the rate back if they so choose. Again, because it was, and I'll wrap up here quickly, I know I'm going on too long. One of the reasons the rollback is important is because we set this rate per county in 1985, and situations have changed in certain counties over the ensuing 30 years. So it might be very likely that St. Louis County, which has the highest surcharge in the rate at $1.70 per $100 of assessed valuation, that they might want to roll that rate back to compete better with St. Charles or Jefferson or Franklin, all of which have much lower property taxes. Much lower commercial property tax surcharges. And the same can be said for Jackson County and Clay County, which have the third and fourth highest surcharges in the state at about roughly $1.50 per hundred. And they might want to compete with Cass and Platte County better, which have much lower rates. It just gives an opportunity to address changes that have occurred in the last 30 years and reduces the fact that it's set so strongly.